Give me the meat and give it to me raw.
Raw. It's raw.
You pick up your palette knife and then work that into your meat. Give your meat a good old rub. Yeah, boy.
Breaker 19, this is the Rubber Duck. Who's leading this here convoy? Over.
I read you, Rubber Duck. This is the Carnivore Trucker heading this Bacon Convoy. We're on the road to health through the carnivore diet. Why don't you follow us? Over.
10-4, Carnivore Trucker. Let's bring home the bacon. Over.
How's it going, everyone, and welcome to the Bacon Convoy. Today I've got a full panel of truck drivers. So this one's going to be for if anybody has any family who drives trucks. This is going to be for them. So please share this to, especially if you're concerned with their health while being on the road, stuff like that. This is a very truck driver focused stream. So I'm Sean, the Carnivore Trucker. I've been driving for, I think, about 6 years now. I've lost about 50, 60 pounds on the carnivore diet. And yeah, this is my channel for truck drivers who want to do the carnivore diet. And yeah, I'm going to bring out the first guest. His name is Randy, the Groundbeefguy. This is our first stream together, actually. This is first time all three of my guests have met. So yeah, Randy, bring him up, do a quick introduction.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Good to be here. My name's Randy Cato, the Groundbeefguy in South Carolina. And hey, I'm honored to be here. Anything else you want me to tell, or we just want to kind of say hello to start with and we'll rock and roll?
Well, how long have you been carnivore?
Been carnivore real strict 134 days now. And I'm I have an official weigh-in coming up in just a few days on Tuesday evening. And I'm expecting to be at about 70 pounds down. I was at 60 pounds the last time. So I usually weigh in about once a month, trying not to stress the scale too much, but mostly carnivore. I've had a few dill pickles here and there. Don't tell anybody. In a salad one time in the last 134 days. But a lot of ground beef, a lot of steaks, a lot of eggs, a lot of butter.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Now for Snorelord, my buddy Steve. What's going on, man?
Good evening. What's up, man? Always enjoy being on here.
Yeah, good to have you.
Yeah, thank you. But you haven't been 100% accurate. I'm no longer a trucker, so.
Yeah, I know you recently sold your truck.
Yeah, I recently sold the truck, but no, I lost 120 pounds with a keto diet. I did do a 40-day carnivore challenge, and I did that all as a truck driver. So it wasn't until I got home that I actually kind of gained a little bit of that weight back. But we're working on it. Progress, not perfection. But I figured out what's work and what's not, and I've had a lot of people tell me that I've inspired them. I've had several people said they've lost 100 pounds due to my videos. You can look up Snorelord. The struggle is real, and you can find where I got mad and made the decision to change my life, and here we are.
All right, and yeah, you've let's see, how long have you been driving? I know it's been a while.
I've been driving for 15 years. I was an owner operator for 8, and I bought my first truck in 2014, paid it off 2.5 years later, then bought a second truck, ran that until I paid it off really, and ran it until, I don't know, last year. I kept it for a year because I wasn't sure what was going to happen, and now I run safety, dispatch, and part-time brokering. So that's what I do now. I got off the road and sold the truck because it was a liability. I still own a trailer. I rent that out to one of our drivers here at Like Trucking, and looking to possibly buy a second trailer and basically be a trailer rent guy. So
Nice, yeah. All right, I'm gonna bring on David, Carnivore Werewolf. And
Howdy, y'all, and I can hear y'all now.
Oh,
right.
Nice.
I'm
So,
Dave,
go ahead.
known as Carnivore Werewolf online. I've been a trucker for 18 years and carnivore for the last year and 2 months. I've gone from 267 down to 192 pounds, 44-inch waist. Now I'm down to a 36-inch waist.
Wow.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, that's
Excellent.
great. So,
Feels
yeah,
good.
yeah, you look good from what from your old pictures. And let's see, you've been driving, I think, 14 years. You said
18.
18. Oh, wow, I was off. So yeah, what do you think of that intro?
Liked it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Well, I'm a big Convoy fan, so I've even got a Convoy tattoo, so I approve of the intro.
Yeah,
You've got a convoy tattoo?
Yeah, so the story is, so Convoy came out when I was about 7 years old, and we had gone to a drive-in. I mean that's how long ago this was, and we were there to see another movie, but it was like a double feature. And Convoy came on after we watched, my sister's crappy movie that they watched. And I like trucks. I was into trucks as a little kid. And sorry, either someone's at the door or my family just got home. And so I had a fit. And my dad said, hey, don't worry about it. We'll record it when it comes on HBO. Well, it came on HBO. We recorded it. And from ages 8 to about 12, that thing babysat me. My parents wanted to go out for the evening. They didn't have to hire a babysitter. They put that movie in. And about the beginning of the 80s, my dad became a truck driver, which was awesome. And then I started riding with him. He became owner operator. And so I've been, even though I drove myself for 15 years, I've been part of the trucking industry, since 1980, and watched my dad go through his deal. But yeah, so I got a tattoo with the rubber duck truck, and I actually got to see the rubber duck truck. They had it in a museum there in St. Louis. I got a picture with it. It's my favorite picture with a celebrity.
cool.
So, yeah.
Cool.
is that museum that's over in the Joplin 44, or wait, no, the Iowa I-80?
No, it's in St. Louis. It's the history of transportation. So there's a whole museum there, and what's funny is we took a vacation to St. Louis, because we live in Springfield, and so we did that, and that was one of the things on the list that we wanted to do. And we got there, and the museum's closed, but the truck doesn't stay in the museum; it's out in the parking lot. So we got to hang out with the truck, and I took pictures of it, and it was one of the 3 trucks that they used in that movie, and so yeah, it was pretty cool. So
That's cool. But yeah, and that movie, I know I watched it like when I was younger, but I recently rewatched it, and that was a good movie. But
Yeah, it kind of falls apart at the end with the plot, but I think the Sam Peckinpah or Peckinpah or whatever that directed it, I believe he was a belligerent drunk during that movie, and
oh,
so the story just kind of falls apart, and there's a lot of like happy accidents, like when the car went through the barn, and then also when the flatbed flipped over. That was not intentional. I found, like, about 10 years ago, I found this website. This guy was like he was more of a
The
convoy
sardine challenge helps
fanatic
patients get a
than I was. And he had like all these historical photos, and he had before and after pictures of intersections, and he had the history of each truck and where each truck ended up, and all this like useless trivia. He had it all, and it was crazy. It was. He said that there's 3 trucks in the film, and one of them is actually a Kenworth, instead of the Mack. But yeah, so someone bought that truck, and it's a trucking company out of St. Louis, and they donate it to the museum because they would take it to shows, but it has a lot of transmission issues, and it costs a lot of money to keep it up. So they just leave it at the museum, and there you go.
that's cool.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, let's get on to the topic of diet. So I guess I'll go first real quick. So yeah, I've been carnivore since January 1st. I mostly just eat like ground beef patties. I'll weigh them out to like a pound each patty, and then just eat those throughout the day, and then do that during the week, and then on the weekends, which by the way, I usually do about 2 meals a day, but on the weekends I don't time restrict, and that's usually when I eat my steaks. I have like 3 steaks dry brining right now, actually, so it's gonna be my dinner after this stream.
What's dry brining?
Oh, it's where you pretty much salt the steak, and then put it in the fridge for preferably overnight.
Oh, okay.
Gets kind of like a dry, briny crust over it, and then when you cook it, it's nice and crunchy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I lost track of what I was saying. Oh yeah, David. You're good. David, I know you were kind of jealous of my mini freezer last time we streamed, but that thing gave out on me now, so I guess I'm down to my my fridge like you are.
Well, luckily, this fridge has a freezer in it. Small one, but
Yeah, mine too. It's got enough to mine's got enough room to fit like those 2 of those 3-pound rolls of ground beef. So,
nice.
yeah. So I guess I'm living like the peasants. Have my freezer. Randy, what about you? How do you do the carnivore diet on the road?
On the road, I've got a couple different things. I'm actually going to try I'm going to try something new here real soon. But I feel like I'm a little bit privileged because I'm able to stay on. I stay in motels through the week when I'm on the road, and I'm not in a full tractor trailer. I'm in a 26-foot Freightliner M2. It's called, I believe, is the proper model name on it. But so I've got one of those mini boiled egg cookers that I take with me, and I've also I had one of those like George Foreman type grills that I would use, but I found, I can't remember if you told me about it, Sean, or somebody did, just a deep frying type pan is a little small, like a 9-inch, bought on Amazon. Is perfect when it's just one person. You can put a big steak in there, or at least a pound of ground beef, and cook it up real easy in one of those. But if I'm like that, cooking it at the hotel or whatever, I'll do that. Typically, if I do eat anything, if I'm out and about, it's definitely like, Wendy's ground beef patties, McDonald's ground beef patties, same kind of thing. Hardee's. The worst thing I've probably gotten, I've seen people say it's not a good thing to do, and that's the Arby's, and just get the roast beef. They got like the 2 for $7. just tell them you don't want the bread and get the beef, which I don't. We can look at it and tell it's not something they cooked in a smoker, in a grill somewhere. But that's pretty much what I do on the road. So
Now Arby's is doing elk right now.
really,
Oh, they are?
Mm-hmm. Elk patties.
okay.
Nice. I might have to try that out. There's speaking of elk, there's a place I like to stop at. What's that town? I can't remember the name of the town, but it's off of I-70, headed west. Just as you get into Arizona, there's that Native American little shopping area that's got the truck stop. But in that, Lupton, Arizona, they have a general store there that sells like elk and bison and whatever, antelope, even beef jerky. And I always stop there and get beef jerky.
Yeah, I saw your video about that.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do an interview with him, but he's reluctant to get on camera, which is understandable. The Carnivore Backwoods, the Carnivore Trucker is the butter trucker. There's a whole meme about Nicole and Butter Daddy. I have a clip saved, but I'll save that for later. But yeah, I like to. Sometimes you run out of meat in the fridge, have to deal with Hardee's and whatnot. So, David, you eat kind of like that. You do mostly fast food like that, right?
When I have to, or if I'm in a hurry, even Love's, the roller dogs, the all beef hot dogs. Can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's beef patties no matter where I go. They always have them. Wendy's is still my favorite, hands down. But you can make it work.
Yeah. Wendy's is good too.
Salt.
What was that?
Just remember your salt.
Yeah.
For sure.
Wendy's is good, but I find it a little too expensive for my taste.
Yeah, they have raised their prices. I will admit that. But I was looking at it the other day. It's like, like it's 70-cent increase. It's like, oh God, if I can't afford 70 cents, what am I doing?
Well, my thing is, you could buy like probably half a pound of beef at Wendy's for the same price of a pound at Walmart.
Oh, well, yeah. Anytime you buy at the grocery store, you're going to pay a lot less for your ground beef. That's just a given.
Yeah, it's just the principle of it bothers me.
Yeah, it seems like that since I've been out, like when these different fast food places, it varies. And there's some that you come to, when you try to order just the patties by themselves. I've been in a couple of Wendy's, and the people in there they're like dumbfounded, trying to get the manager to help them out. I've had a couple that said, "We're sorry, we just don't know how to do it. We can charge you for the sandwich, and and if you're in a pinch, I guess that's what you got to do." But there are some that I think I've seen Wendy's patties for like $1.50 a couple of times, and then McDonald's, I've seen those as low as $1 for a quarter pounder. There's one McDonald's in my area because I've got on my McDonald's app. If anybody's got the app, if you order it and you go in there and use you pay for it with your app or something, it stores the order in there. So anytime you come to a McDonald's and you order it on the app, you can actually order those quarter pound patties and it'll show you what the price is. There are some McDonald's that don't offer it, but most of them do. So pretty good little tip.
I just generally tell them it's the add patty feature on the till. It's like it'll say add patty.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do is add patty. It's like I'll take 3 of those or 4 of those.
Yeah.
And that seems to solve the problem.
I've tried to do that at the Five Guys. I like their burgers. And there are a few Five Guys I've been to that they'll do just the ad patty, and they'll charge you the ad patty price for as many burger patties as you want. But now most of them that I go to, they'll say, "Oh, you got to buy that first one first, and then we'll do the ad patties on top." So you just got to kind of roll with it.
Nice. I haven't.
It
I
just
haven't had
depends
Five
on who's
Guys.
working that day.
Pretty much.
I haven't had Five Guys in years. I used to love them. Acceleration rules. Isn't this a motley crew? And chest freezer works so much better than a fridge. Yeah. I have a mini freezer up on top. I still have it, but it's not working right now. It's out of commission. I got to buy another one. But
Yeah, I was jealous when he was showing that. He could fit them huge beef logs in there from Walmart.
but yeah, Snorelord, what about you? You've done both keto and carnivore on the road, right?
Yeah. So one of my tricks, especially for keto, was I would hit the iron skillet breakfast buffet and get it to go. And it cost about, I don't know, usually it was around $10-12. And I'd throw it in the fridge. And then, because I was heavy on intermittent fasting, still am. And about noon, I'll eat half, and then dinner time I eat the other half. And I would get some of the iron skillets would have the burger patties. So I would load up on those, the sausage, the bacon, of course, and then, mushrooms and I tried to eliminate that or limit that as much as possible because, seed oils are just as bad, if not worse for you than sugar is. So, and then the tricks that you guys have talked about with the burger places, I've done that. There's been a few times where it became a hassle, so I just ordered a sandwich, and then you have to have the willpower to throw the bread away. Let's see. The carnivore diet that I did on the road was a little bit more challenging because one of my favorite meals was I would buy those dollar bags of frozen vegetables from Walmart, and I would have that and 2 burger patties. What I would do is I had a Hot Logic Mini, which is like a square slow cooker. It's a square dish. You plug it in. You don't even need a big inverter. One of those 100-watt inverters will do it. And I would throw 2 frozen burger patties, put it in there, and I could drive. Like, there's been a few times where I drove longer than I expected to. They don't burn. It doesn't get scorched. It's basically like a crock pot. And then about halfway through, if I can take my 30-minute break, I'll throw the vegetables on there, like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, something like that. And then when I shut down, that would be my meal. But for the most part, I found that dirty keto and dirty carnivore was fairly easy to do on the road. If you're not worried about processed meats and all that. And when I got to meet Dr. Ken Berry, he talked about that even the most processed meat is better than the other crap you could be eating. So what I found was the cleaner meat I could eat, the better I felt. The better I felt, the more likely I was to stay on track, and the more energy I had, and so when I started looking into a lot of the dextrose and the maltodextrin and all the additives that they put in lunch meat, and even the rotisserie chicken you get at Walmart, they fill that full of all these different things to make it taste better, and but that's better than nothing in a pinch. But I tried to eat as clean as possible, which usually I would buy the bag of frozen burger patties, which those little freezers in the truck would fit those, and I have 2 a day. So that worked really well. And then if I had some time, I would try to cook as many as possible and just have them in the fridge, so I can just, if I'm not feeling up for cooking, I can just throw them on real quick in the microwave. But eggs were a challenge. I love eggs, but the boiled eggs you get in the truck stops or the Walmart already boiled, those taste like rubber. So I would add mustard to them or salt or whatever. But I would try to do like fried eggs, like in the microwave. Basically you put it in a paper bowl, break the yolk, put it in the microwave, cover it so it doesn't blow up on you. And that usually did the trick, but you can't eat that in a pinch, so it just depends. And then a lot of butter, and then heavy whipping cream for my coffee, no sugar or nothing. That gave you your fat. But what I found with that is the additives that they're putting heavy whipping cream now. And, they're putting Guar gum or gelling gum in these things. And that stuff's bad for your gut. My skin breaks out pretty easily with that. So I finally found the heavy whipping cream at Hy-Vee it's just cream. So, but that would help the satiation, in the beginning of the day. But towards the end of my journey in the truck, it was easy for me to stop eating at about 4 and not eat again until noon. So I had a 4-hour window, and that worked out really well. So
Nice.
Agree.
Yeah. This comes up almost every stream. I can't eat eggs. But yeah, I have had those rubbery, those nasty rubbery hard-boiled eggs that they sell at the truck stops. Occasionally you come across some deviled eggs, like at like I think it's Petro and TAs usually have those ones. I used to like those.
Those are pricey though, and you don't know what they're putting in that, like the mayonnaise or whatever that they're using. It's probably seed oil, right? So
yeah.
I lived on deviled eggs, but man, when prices started getting higher and higher, that's one of the biggest things that people say, well, I can't afford to eat keto. I can't afford to eat carnivore. And so my goal on the road was to show how to do that with a budget. And you find out that you actually save money. And that's where the intermittent fasting really came in handy, because you're only eating once or twice a day and you're feeling good. And so,
what made you want to go to the intermittent fasting, if you don't mind me asking? It I would like to hear a little bit more about that. I've been thinking about, I've seen some things about about the insulin. If your insulin's still too high, that is going to keep you from losing weight. Being a bigger guy, I'm like I'm hoping I'm going to be in the 360s whenever I weigh in Tuesday. I was about 434 at the beginning of this year. So I feel like it's kind of slow. I think I lost 10 pounds last month, but I see some other guys that are big like me, but they're losing more weight during the month. And I'm just wondering if maybe my I need to try to get that insulin level down a little bit. If
all right,
fasting's the way to go.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to help you out here. All right. You're overweight, right?
Yep.
You have an insulin resistance problem. So overweight is not a caloric problem. It is it's a hormonal imbalance problem. So about 60 pounds into my weight loss, I started to stall a little bit. And a friend of mine who was coaching me along, he goes, hey, try not to eat until noon. I'm like, all right. And then he goes, then extend it to 2, and then extend it to 4, and try to get to 1 once a day. And man, it was like a new switch was hit, just like that. And so what I found was, and here's the best thing about fasting, okay? You really find out what triggers you to eat, because if you're like me, you eat when you're not hungry.
Pretty much.
With insulin resistance. So if you eat a high carb meal that's processed carbs are designed for you to consume more, you have lost your way on how to even know when your body's full and satiated. And so there was a parody channel. His name was Little Viking Coach. He on the serious side, he was a carnivore guy, also a truck driver, and he started giving me tips. He goes, get into intermittent fasting, because that's what keto and carnivore pretty much is. Carnivore is supposed to simulate fasting. But if you're eating 4 or 5, 6 times a day still, you're spiking that insulin. Regardless of what you're eating, you're still spiking that insulin. And so the more insulin resistant you are, the more effective that is, or the more that happens. So he started a challenge, Fasting Friday, And so what I would do is I would eat Thursday at 6 p.m. and try to make it to 5 to 6 p.m. on Friday. And what I found was what triggered me to eat. Well, the first thing that triggered me to eat was when I go in the morning to get my coffee in the truck stop, breakfast burritos. That's my weakness. I love the smell of breakfast burritos. The smell of bread. And so it would trigger a mental switch that made me think I was hungry. But because I've put my journey on YouTube for accountability, I wasn't going to do that. So that was trigger number one. Trigger number two, during a 24-hour fast, I realized that I was sitting at a dock. I was bored as hell. They were taking forever to load me. And I got up and opened my cabinet up. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's Friday, Steve. What are you doing? And I realized that I'm a boredom eater. And then also as an owner-operator, I was always stressed about money, especially when I was at Landstar. Landstar is when I really ballooned up because, we were in a recession, freight was struggling, rates were struggling, and all that. And I found myself with money, but I was burning it all on Popeye's chicken and all that kind of stuff. So what I figured out, and I'm going to talk about this, I wanted to talk about it today. What I figured out was when you fast, whether it be 14, 16, 18, 20, 24 hours, you're going to learn about what triggers you to eat. Now, here's the cool thing. Waves of hunger will happen. It's guaranteed. So here's what would happen with me. I ran a lot of short stuff. So my days were pretty much the same quite a bit. So I'd get up about 6, have my coffee with nothing in it, just black. And then about 9 o'clock, I would start to get hungry. And then I would just endure it for a half an hour. I would belch. It was gone. The hunger just disappeared like a magic trick. And then noon comes along, same thing. I might have a little bit of pork rinds. I might, just a plain, or I might have a burger patty, or I might, eat some beef jerky or whatever. And then, but there were times when I was so busy, so stressed, or running so hard that I forgot to eat. Next thing you know, it's like 18 hours. You don't even realize that you haven't eaten all day. And I'm telling you, that is a superpower, because once you can tap, and that's true ketosis, once you tap into that, then the weight will just melt off. So fast forward, I downloaded a book off of Audible from Jason Fung, and I forget the other name of the author. There was like 2 authors about fasting. It's the Guide to Fasting. And it talked about, if you look at our primal selves as human beings, as a human species, we are meant to feast and famine. Think about the big hunt. Eat as much as you can, because that might be all that you got, right? And you need the energy, you need clarity to be able to hunt. A lot of warriors in battle, they would fast about 24 hours before a big battle because they knew they needed that clarity. And so all the benefits that I experienced with the keto diet became tenfold once I started putting intermittent fasting. And that is where the truth, because the growth hormone kicks in, and you just, I can't explain it other than if you read this book, it talks about how this is how our bodies are designed. If there's every single religion out there has a form of fasting.
True.
And that fasting is designed to give you clarity for your prayers and all that stuff. And so there is a science background to how good fasting is. And we've been lied to all of our lives that we have to eat 6 times a day for metabolism and all that. And that is a bold-faced lie. They're literally telling you to spike your insulin 6 times a day. Even though you're eating healthy, you're still spiking your insulin 6 times. And so your body never has a chance to go into ketosis. And then once you get into autophagy, like there are reports of people curing their cancers by fasting for 3 or 4, 7 days. And there's the Guinness World Book of Records. There was a guy in the 60s that fasted for 388 days. He was 500 pounds.
I saw that.
And no negative side effects. I think he only regained 20 pounds, which was probably muscle. But I mean, that we are designed to fast. And so when you do a fast, you really learn what triggers you. You know, the whole idea of the carnivore diet is an elimination diet. So if you reintroduce Brussels sprouts and you feel like crap, well, then you know you probably shouldn't eat that. Same thing with any other vegetable, right? And so by fasting, you're cleaning up everything and you're streamlining. And if you get into autophagy, now your body can start to heal. Your growth hormone kicks that weight loss into gear, and you're good to go. I mean, it's the most powerful thing above keto and carnivore is the fasting. Keto and carnivore just makes it easier to fast. You can't fast for 24 hours if you're eating nothing but donuts and bread and fruit, right? But if you're eating fatty meat, lots of protein, next thing you know, you're not hungry. And I've gone as high as 49 hours without any ill side effects.
Do you feel like I'm sorry to kind of hijack? I just had a couple questions about this. Do you, and this maybe this is a dumb question, but brushing your teeth in the morning time, do you think that spikes your insulin at all?
Yes,
it does.
Yeah, it could trigger it. So,
do you think coffee does, or
coffee does not? Black coffee does not.
But if you put butter in it, but the butter would though. If you put butter in there,
no. If it's under like 50 calories, like if you put a half stick of butter, yeah, it's going to add a little bit. But you know, there's a thing called fat fasting as well, where you eat nothing but fats, and that, like, if you ever had a heavy pork meal and you don't want to eat for a while,
right?
It's the fat doing that. That's why ribeyes are the prized possession of a carnivore, because they're the fattiest meat. And so, but in that fasting book, you can even add heavy whipping cream. You don't want to add milk or half and half, but heavy whipping cream, butter, straight black coffee, tea, as long as there's no sweetener in it, even artificial or non-sugar, just black, right? And
always black. I drink my black mostly, but
right.
I do sometimes after, like I saw the steak and butter gal and some of them talking about they would have their coffee after they eat their meal in the morning, whatever they eat for breakfast, which I kind of understand what you're saying about as far as eating. Sometimes I feel like I eat breakfast just because I enjoy eating. I mean, I like bacon. I like eggs.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm at a motel and they've got bacon for breakfast, and I mean, it's piled up, I'm sitting there thinking, man, I can't leave here today without getting a plate of bacon, So.
Yeah, and that's what you find out about yourself, right? And so now, because if you're a heavy set guy like me, you can literally go a long time without food and you'll be okay. Now you got to keep up on the electrolytes, you got to keep up on your salts, and things of that nature. But for the most part, when you see these carnivore channels, YouTube channels that don't do the intermittent fasting, they're genuinely healthy or smaller people, so they don't really have a whole lot to spare.
Yeah.
So they're able to work eat three times a day and be okay. But if you are overweight, you have a hormonal imbalance, and so therefore it's kind of like if you're allergic to certain things, you can't eat it, right? And so you have to, that's why some people can eat a whole pizza plus a gallon of ice cream and they're as thin as a rail. They don't have an insulin resistance problem. Now it might catch up to them later in years. They might still get a fatty liver, but for the most part, they're not gaining weight because their body's not set up to do that. But that's where the whole genetics falls in. If you have overweight people in your family, for the most part, your genetics says that, hey, guess what? You can't binge on donuts and have the same effect as somebody else.
Right.
And so, and you got to work your way up. So what I encourage people to do, and this is what I was going to talk about today, do a 7-day fast from something, right? Do 7 days of something. So maybe do 7 days of eating only at noon and at 4, and see how that goes. Now it's going to be a struggle, but we're meant to suffer. We're meant to struggle. I mean, that's what human nature is. And then you're going to learn something about yourself. You're going to learn your limitations. And the worst thing that can happen is if you feel low glycemic and you feel shaky, then grab a hot dog real quick or something. And that'll usually cure that problem. Or, increase your water intake, increase your salt intake. Yeah. But for the most part, try something for 7 days. Like for example, if you eat a lot of lunch meat, a lot of hot dogs, a lot of processed meat, try going 7 days without that and eat nothing but clean meat and see how you feel. And 7 days is not much of a commitment. And, 3 days is not enough to really create a change, but 7 days is enough to make you go, man, this is kind of interesting. And then you can learn from that. Okay, the 7 day thing's working pretty good. I'm able to eat at noon and 4. I like this. And then, and I guarantee you that you're going to lose weight. You're going to get over this hump that you're in. The carnivore channels talk about it. The keto channels talk about it. Intermittent fasting is key. So
I would agree with that.
12 to 4 is what you that's your eating window usually.
Well, so yeah. So the longer the smaller the window, the older you are and the more overweight you are, the smaller window you want.
Okay.
So like a guy that's maybe 20 pounds overweight and feels generally okay, he's probably good 12 and 12, right? But sometimes I tell people start at 14, eat at noon from 6 p.m., and then try to make your way to 18, then try to make yourself to 20, and then pick maybe 1 or 2 days a week where you eat only once for the day. Now you can consume as many calories as you can in that one sit down, but I mean, your body's going to be like, whoa, what are we doing here? And so, but it's not about calories. It's about how many times are you spiking your insulin. And you're going to find that, you guys were talking about Arby's earlier. Arby's is going to spike your insulin a little bit more than a straight burger patty with nothing on it. Simply because the additives like the maltodextrin and the hidden sugars and the modified food starch. MSG is one of the worst things that you can consume because it's literally designed to make you eat more. Mm-hmm. So what you find is that hunger wave that you have at 9 a.m. is going to come back and it's going to be unbearable because of what you ate the night before. So the cleaner you can eat, the more fat you can eat, the easier the intermittent fasting is. And then one day you're going to wake up and like, holy crap, I haven't eaten and it's like 5 o'clock tonight. Man, whoa, that's crazy. Think about like if you have a death in the family or something's going on at home or you have kind of a crappy day on the road, you literally forget to eat, because your body's not, your body's doing fine, and so a lot of the times that we eat are triggered by mental things. And that's what I found. I found that I'm a boredom eater. I found that I'm a social eater. I found that I'm a stress eater. So if I'm at a truck stop or if I'm at a shipper receiver with nothing else to do except stress out about money and I have a cabinet full of bad food, I'm going to eat. So
yeah. Going back to one of Randy's earlier questions about the toothpaste. Check this out. Is it mirrored for you?
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yeah.
No, Redmond. No, we can read it.
Somebody mentioned that on something I was on earlier. I didn't realize they had a toothpaste now.
Yeah. The ingredients is purified water, bentonite, clay, non-GMO xylitol, peppermint essential oil, activated charcoal, menthol, sea salt, and tea tree oil. I've been using this for a while. It's actually my second one. I used to have one that was like unflavored. This one's peppermint. So
cool.
wonder if you can get it without the xylitol.
I did the spearmint one.
Yeah, typically how I've been talking about what my schedule's been is when I get up. Well, last week what I did was I got on the treadmill for about 45 minutes without eating anything, which I don't know if you guys ever saw that guy, Butter Bob, that was, butter makes my pants fall off.
Excellent.
There was a couple of videos he had that talked about a guy a doctor that recommended get up and, go walk for 30 minutes before you do anything, take your shower, do everything you can before you eat, which is kind of what we're talking about as far as the intermittent fasting goes. But I'm usually eating breakfast by 8 or 9, and then on the road, haven't been eating any lunch, and then eating supper about 4 or 5. So the window's a little bit bigger, but now there's no doubt in my mind that I could go and not eat breakfast at all and, wait till later in the day and probably even go through lunch and do that one meal a day. So I'm going to give that a shot and just see what kind of difference that makes over the next month.
Yeah, if you eat something small, like if you skip breakfast completely and you eat something small at noon and then reserve your big meal at the end of the day, that is literally what worked the best for me when I was on the road.
Okay.
So look, you can if it doesn't work for you, at least you try it for 7 days. If you don't feel or see a difference or both, then change it up with something else. But as heavy set as you are, and I know all this research I've done about insulin resistance,
it's got to be.
This is your key, man. This is the key of what you need.
I'm averaging 8 to 10 pounds a month right now, which some would say that's pretty doggone good there, really. At the end of the day, I just felt like, being as big as I am, I'm wanting more, but I'm a little greedy, I guess.
Well, it took me about a year to lose 120 pounds. There was a point where it started off about 2 pounds a week, and then there was some points where it was like 5 pounds a week. And then when I kicked into intermittent fasting and really got into true ketosis, that was the superpower. And then where my weight loss slowed down quite a bit was when I was not doing the intermittent fasting and I was doing the quote unquote keto cheats of like the keto fat bombs and the keto candy and the keto substitutes, which I eliminated those after a while, and I went back to my fasting, and the 40 pounds that I'd gained, I lost 20 of it within the first month. And then alcohol is a big factor too. Do you drink at all?
No.
Okay, good. Because that's bad for your insulin as well.
The occasional I did have a drink. I had one drink in the course of this last 130 something days, and I got gout. I got a flare up of gout. That was after about 90 days. And I had that, and I also had some, the only thing I can attribute it to, now I may have been dehydrated. I may not have had enough water too. They say that kind of leads toward gout as well. Mm-hmm. But I had that one drink at a place where they gave a free one away, and I'd always wanted to be honest. I'm just being honest here. I'd never tried bourbon. So that's what I tried, a bourbon and a diet ginger ale.
Huh.
So I tried that, and then the next day I had some like kielbasa sausage, and didn't really pay attention to the ingredients. And it did have that MSG, and it had high fructose corn syrup in it. But the following day, for the next 3 or 4 days, I could not walk. I mean, it was top of my foot, and I did go get it checked. The uric acid level was through the roof, so that it was definitely gout. So I said, I'm not even going to attempt it anymore. So.
Well, so you think, oh, this would be a great alternative. Chili with no beans, right?
Yeah.
So
that's what I cooked tonight.
Look at a can. I mean, if you cook it homemade, that's different. But if you look at a can of like Hormel chili,
right?
There's soy protein flour in there. There's modified food starch. There's
sugar.
Like, Yeah, I mean, there's like all these ingredients that are just not good for your blood and for your inflammation, and and so when you go to a true, the idea of carnivore is to eat cleanly. There's nothing cleaner than a piece of steak, right? There's nothing cleaner than minimally processed burger patty. And at the end of the day, if it has more than 2 or 3 ingredients, you want to minimize that as much as possible. So, seed oils, like a lot of hot dogs, a lot of sausage has canola oil, sunflower oil, that kind of thing. The corn syrup solids, that's another one. There's like 20 different forms of sugar, like dextrin, maltodextrin, dextrose, modified food starch. That's a form of MSG. And MSG was created to literally make lab rats fat. It's the food is that's processed is designed to make you eat as much as possible. That's why when you go to Taco Bell, you're never full, because their food is designed for you to consume.
Yeah.
Whereas, man, if you have 3 ribeye steaks, your body's like, dude, hey man, slow down. But man, you can eat a Chinese buffet and then still want dessert an hour later,
Right.
because of all the starches that they put in the sauces and everything else. So, take 7 days, do the intermittent fasting, and what you find is the cleaner you eat, the easier it is to stay on that. So
I guess
the better you feel.
I guess I was jealous of Sean, the intentional carnivore. I mean, he lost like 245 pounds in a year, and everybody said, don't compare yourself to others, but man, it's hard not to compare when you were about the same size as he was when he started. He's just shredding it. But I mean, I think he said that he usually ate about 10 or 11 every day, ate 4 eggs. And then his other meal was around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So he was in about a 6-hour window, probably. He had a ribeye steak, and that was about it. So
do you do any, I noticed you said you get in the treadmill, but do you ever do any like weightlifting or resistance training?
I've not. I've been a little bit scared too, because I'm thinking I've seen some of these people say if you start doing that, because all the protein you're eating, you might start putting weight on instead of taking it off.
Well, what will happen is, even if you don't lose weight, it'll be proportionately different. So you're losing fat and gaining muscle. But here's the thing. It helps burn the fat. It helps burn, because you're using, there's a whole thing in the fasting book about how it takes that growth hormone, takes away the fat. Think about, again, go back to the caveman days. You're a hunter. You have to use your strength. You have to use your physical abilities, and you do that best when you haven't had any food. That's the design of any animal, really. You think about a lion. What do? They feast. Then when it comes time to hunt, they go hunt, and they're at their peak moment with that. And so weightlifting is actually going to be more beneficial than the treadmill, unless you're just doing walking. Walking is really good, but weightlifting will kind of help kick that into a higher gear. That's what I need to do more of is and you could do like a resistance band. It doesn't even have to be something strenuous, just something repetitive that is more than what you're doing now. Like even 5-pound dumbbells, just doing that, or resistance band while you're going down the road. I would use the pull-up bar and do that, and do that, and then also gallon water jug is like 6 pounds, and you can just lift that up, and so just something repetitive that builds your muscle a little bit, and sleep that your body repairs itself. But it's not about weight loss. It's about how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and so a lot of keto and carnivore people, what they'll do is they'll tell you, okay, don't pay attention to the scale, but pay attention to your measurements. Like you might still show 280 pounds, but your arms might be bigger, your gut might be slimmer, and that it's about being healthy. And so don't pay attention too much to that number. I know it can be a motivator, but it can also be a dismotivator as well.
Right.
It makes you go, well, screw it. I'm going to have pizza tonight because I can't lose any weight this week.
Yeah, I've had that. I've had that happen over the course of years. I mean, I've been fighting this thing all my life. So I feel like,
and so knowing that about yourself, that's a great step. Knowing that, like, look, if I pay attention to the number, I'm going to fall off the wagon. And here's the kicker: if you fall off the wagon one day, okay, fasting helps minimize the damage that's done.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. I'm started a fast today. I'm wanting to do a 48 hour, and I've done a little bit of it before. I've done some 1 meal a day, but and I've done up to 3 days at one time. It's been many years ago, and it wasn't in the situation I'm in now. But I know that I don't feel like I'm ever hungry. So my monthly weigh-in is about 5:00 p.m. on Tuesday. So I started at 5. So that's my goal. I've got the little fasting app here going. So I'm trying to do 48 hours to that weigh-in on Tuesday afternoon to kind of see, how I feel and where I'm at.
Let me put the
Randy.
link to the book in the chat.
Okay. Randy, you already started the fast?
Yeah.
What's your goal? Was it 48 you said?
Yeah, I wanted to do 48.
I'm gonna have to join you. I'm gonna have to do it at 48 as well after tonight.
There's the little
Okay.
you get the little live fasting app.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to do a fast too because I went off plan too.
What? I didn't go on the plan, but I'm just talking to Snorelord there, and I've been really kind of inquiring about it, and I have heard a lot of people say to really kickstart things, hit that 48, do a 48 hour one, and then get into a 24 or a 26 or 18.6, whatever.
The great thing about the book that I don't know if it's showing up in the chat or not, but is that there's like several different styles. And so to me, I've only been able to do a 48 hour one 3 times in the last since April. And so to me, the sweet spot is eat at 6 p.m. and then don't eat until noon. Like if you eat at 6 p.m. on Monday, don't eat until noon on Wednesday. And if needed, you can eat at 9 a.m. That's like a 36-hour fast.
Right.
And, and so I have to rebuild myself because I've been able to do 20 and 24, but here lately I've been kind of straying a little bit. And so I'm lucky to get 16, 14, and 16-hour fasts. And lo and behold, my weight's gone back up a little bit. So fasting is key.
I always do on that Tuesday that I weigh in, we always weigh in at 5:00, and it's a group called TOPS, Taking All Pounds Sensibly is what it stands for, but it's a lot of I hate to say, I don't know if they'd be watching, but it's a lot of older ladies, and they have I really got in there because they had a scale that I could weigh on, to be honest, and they had a good scale. And then it makes, not stressing about getting up every morning and getting on the scale and checking it out and see where I'm at. So what I'm always fasting on that day because, as we all know, usually you weigh less in the morning time when you weigh. So that particular day, like Tuesday, I would normally eat Monday, and then Tuesday morning I would not eat. I would fast all day till that weigh-in at 5:00 and try to keep. I even try not to drink hardly anything either, because that whatever you're putting in your body's poundage,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to get a good weigh-in number.
Well, here's something I've learned. Since I've been home, I weigh myself every morning. Yeah.
Real quick, I made you a mod so that way you can post that link.
Oh, okay. That's the issue. Okay. Thank you. So if I weigh myself every morning. And what I find is that after a certain meal that I've cheated, that's where the weight is. I will also find myself weighing 2 or 3 pounds more after I've worked really hard in the yard or I've done a big workout because your body's recouping. So it's keeping fluid to help kind of repair the body. But then the next day, if you're fasting good enough, guess what? You're peeing a bunch of times, and next thing you know, you're like 5 pounds under of where you started. And so I've literally had a 10-pound difference in fluid retention in 1 week.
Wow.
And I wouldn't have known that if I didn't weigh myself every morning. And so I like the feeling, and I like the feeling of losing a pound a night, which just seems to be what it felt like for a while during my peak weight loss. But what I found was that I pay attention. Now I'm learning, okay, what adds water weight, what doesn't, what's working. And I notice that when I'm struggling, it's because I've either had a beer or I'm not doing it, I'm eating with a bigger window, or I'm not 100% on my regimen. And like if we do Chinese food, guaranteed I'm going to be 5 pounds within a couple of days, guaranteed. But then if I eat clean for the next 5 days, that 5 pounds and then another additional 2 pounds is gone. So that tells me that I'm super sensitive. My body is super sensitive. They tell you to eat to your type. And again, I have a huge insulin resistance problem. As a kid, I grew up eating bologna sandwiches, breakfast cereal, and Kool-Aid because we were poor. And, I was an avid bike rider, so I always burned those calories off. But what I was doing, I was developing years of starting insulin resistance and metabolic disease. And so in high school, I had the acne problem, which is another sign of insulin resistance. And it just, and it wasn't until I introduced a lot of junk foods into my diet as a senior in high school that my weight started to gain. And I just attributed, well, I wasn't riding my bike anymore because of what we've been told by the health, quote unquote, experts.
Right.
Which we all know is wrong. So.
Well, kind of rolling it back to what you were talking about with the MSG. And I'd mentioned that I went off plan. So I had a day where I had like the donuts, ice cream.
What?
I know. Apple turnip.
It happened.
Yeah, it happened. But what's funny is, because I've been carnivore for, long enough to know what my hunger signals are. I was still hungry. I still ate, a couple pounds of beef because it's like the sweet stuff didn't do nothing for me. It was just, hey, I'm eating something sweet, but it wasn't satisfying my hunger signals. So it's just something that it's kind of hard to explain, but it's just something that you learn about yourself.
Well, we all have urges. We all have like cravings, right? I mean, I literally went very dogmatic about sugar for over a year and still had cravings. And what I found was to satisfy those cravings, I would do strawberries, blueberries, or just a touch of raw, real honey. And
I was doing that.
that would kind of satisfy the little sweet tooth. Now, that's how addictive sugar is. And then the reason why I was so dogmatic about sugar is because sugar feeds cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the proof. When you get a PET scan, what do they put in your body? Glucose. What does the glucose do? It coagulates around the cancerous tumors.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what they want. That's what they're eating. If you have skin tags, if you have moles, if you have a tendency to have canker sores, if you have acne, that's your body's and your gut telling you that you cannot have that food because it is affecting you. But sugar feeds cancer. My father died of lung cancer. Very, very brutal death. Very painful. It wasn't like just went to sleep one day. It was like he was in agony for a full month in hospice. And, you know, he was a cigarette smoker, of course, but once I learned that sugar feeds cancer, and there was all these studies and people that go into fasting and completely eliminate sugar, and they've been able to put their cancer in remission, that was my motivation. It's like, it's kind of like, does anybody in this panel smoke?
Nope.
Do any of you guys smoke cigarettes? Why not? You're not tempted when you see the cigarette in the counter, right?
Nope.
No.
If you view sugar the same way, it helps that. It helps that, because if you view sugar as an ashtray, if you view sugar as rat poison, if you go into a truck stop and know in your head that 95% of that food is absolutely designed to kill you slowly while they make profit off of you, then it's easier to resist those urges. It's easier to resist those temptations. And
That's a great
granted,
way to look
because
at
of
it.
yeah, and that is fuel, because there's a rebellious side to me. There's my metalhead side to me that's like, you know what? F the government, F the pharmaceutical companies, F the cancer treatment companies. I do not want to feed that machine. So that donut is not going to taste any better than any other donut I've ever had. And so when you look at that as literal poison, it really makes you go, it makes you eat cleaner, and knowing that you're not feeding that machine, because as we get older, that's the design. You're metabolically destroyed, and so now you're on pain meds. Now you're on the high cholesterol meds. Now you're on the diabetes medicine.
You're a
And
slave
now
to the healthcare system.
you're a
Then.
slave. You know, now you got to get your kidneys, you know, dialysis, and you got to have a catheter bag. You got to have all these operations because your joints have gone bad. And it's all based around the food that they're telling us is good for us, and it's not. The cleaner you can eat, the cleaner, eat only what God intended for you to eat, then you can't go wrong. So,
Yeah.
Eat whole foods only. One ingredient food. That's going to be your best bet, no matter what.
yep,
That's
high
right.
fatty meat. If it didn't have a mom or come out of the ground, you don't eat it.
How's everybody doing on time, by the way? We've gone over an hour.
I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm down for the night. I'm good.
Okay. I'm on my 34.
I did. You're talking about your dad. I lost both of my parents to cancer at the age of 62. So I feel like that's pretty young.
That's your fuel. That should be your fuel.
So, yeah, my dad was a Vietnam veteran. Now he was exposed to Agent Orange. I felt like that might have had something to do with he had renal cancer, kidney cancer. However, he was overweight, and my mom was as well. My mom, breast cancer, melanoma, and just, ravaged her. But yeah, there's no doubt about that's I keep hearing that about everybody talks about that PET scan and the feeding that sugar in there and it going to the cancer, and that ought to be everybody's big warning symbol not to get off the sugar.
Do you want to hear you want to hear a freaky story?
Sure.
All right, so I never ever remember my dreams. I'll wake up feeling a certain way and I'll have images, but I never hardly remember my dreams. Well, about 8 or so years ago, I had a dream. My dad died back in 2003. He was also a Vietnam vet. It was probably exposed to Agent Orange, but he was a cigarette smoker as well. So in the dream, I had this dream. We'd gone back in time, and I was setting the table. Typical Snorelord household, my dad was cooking the meal, and I was setting the table, and I had 3 older sisters, and and they would come into the dream, one at a time, and I was happy because we had gone back in time. Now we had a chance to change the future. We knew that Dad was going to die of cancer, and I was so happy. I'm like, oh yes, finally a second chance. And so I'm setting the table, and then my dad, who's cooking food, waiting for something to cook, he lights up a cigarette. And I lost it. I was throwing dishes around. I was like, how could you do this? Knowing that that this is going to happen. How could you put us through this again? And he put the cigarette out of his mouth and he goes, Steven, your food is my cigarettes. I'm like, what did you say? He goes, your food is my cigarettes. And I woke up.
Wow.
Now, fast forward 5 years later, that little Viking coach that I was telling you about, he did this serious video about autophagy. And he had briefly mentioned about PET scans. And my wife comes out because she works from home. She was, at that time, she was a medical transcriptionist for the radiology department of the local hospital here. So she comes out and she's like, what are you watching? Oh, LVC is talking about autophagy and PET scans. And I go, what's a PET scan? She's like, oh, that's when they feed glucose to the patient and then it's got dye in it. And that's it coagulates around the cancerous tumors. I'm like, I started to cry. Because it was like the message from my dream now was complete. And from that point on, dude, I didn't touch sugar. I mean, I have strayed here and there. But that's the beauty of fasting is if you're at somebody's birthday and you want birthday cake, have the birthday cake. Don't go overboard. But if you do a full-on fast right after that, you'll clean your system out. But when you look at the amount of sugar and you look at cancer rates, and cancer doesn't, cancer treatments don't even, what do they give you at the hospital? They give you all kinds of sugary and bread treats. They're literally, I mean, everybody's like, oh, vaccine was population control, blah, blah. You know what? The population control is in our food. Because think about this. You're in your 40s. You start to feel the effects of your diet. 50s, you're going to be diagnosed with something. 60s, you die. You don't even hit retirement, like your parents, 62 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That's money in the bank.
I always thought it kind of ticks me off too that my parents worked all their lives. They paid into that dang Social Security, and guess what? They didn't get a dime of it, and neither does anybody else except the government. They got the money.
Exactly.
Yeah, it goes back to the government.
And the other thing you got to look at is what I was going to say, the Nestle, the company that owns Nestle, also owns the cancer treatment drugs. They also own the things that help you lose weight. They're literally the heroin dealer and the rehab all rolled into one. So at the end of the day, all you are is just a cash cow.
Yep.
And the worse you eat, the more you're feeding that system. Think about the Grammys recently. Who was the biggest number one sponsor? It was Pfizer.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
And you Pfizer every day.
Right. And so
real quick, it's even in the news, like walk by the trucker lounge at the truck stops and you see the news and it's all sponsored by Pfizer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they literally have put out charts that have literally said Lucky Charms is better to eat than ground beef.
Yep.
You can't tell me that that's not intentional. They're intentionally making you sick slowly with pleasure because these foods are designed to make you feel good. These foods are designed to taste good. And that's all by design.
Good. They do taste good. You've got to admit that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I binged on freaking donuts and ice cream the other day because it tasted good.
Bread is my weakness. I can't eat anything super sweet. It kind of makes it ugh. But bread is kind of a weakness. And so I would find like this artisan bread that's got nothing but pure ingredients. I'm like, but then I eat the whole loaf in a day and a half. I'm like, well, that's a problem still. But yeah, I mean, if you look at human history, when we became agricultural, that's when you really started to see weight issues. That's why, in history, most of the overweight people were rich people because sugar was a luxury.
The pharaohs.
Yeah, because it causes insulin resistance. It causes arthritis. It causes inflammation. It causes cancer. And it's in literally everything. And it's by design, too. why can I get a bottle of ketchup that has sugar in it for $1.50, but then if I want the non-sugar organic ketchup, it's like $5.
Right.
And
And
it still has
smaller.
sugar.
And much smaller.
A small
Yeah.
bottle. Yep.
It's less processed. It should be cheaper, right?
You would think.
Hey,
But-
Sean, I know you're
that's
out there
by
in the Texas area or whatever. Just curious, side note here, was it Bluebell ice cream? And you had ice cream?
No, I was on the road. It was Ben and Jerry's.
Oh, okay.
Baskin Robbins here.
But-
This season is the most dangerous season for me.
Oh
What
yeah, because all
season is it?
all the Halloween candy.
No, it's pumpkin spice season. That's my weakness.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what's funny is my wife literally baked pumpkin spice or pumpkin cookies. They're literally on the table and I could smell them and I'm just like, again, I've put it in my head, the smell's gross to me. And and if you put a little bit of cloves, a little bit of pumpkin spice, or that kind of without the sugar into your coffee, it kind of helps with that a little bit. There's a lot of flavored coffees that don't have sweetener in it that really work. That helps with those cravings, but the difficult part for this time of year is all the celebrations. Thanksgiving,
Christmas.
Halloween,
Yep.
Christmas, and people are shoving. I mean, and you're like, what sucks is like, this is the thing I struggle with the most at times, is that you feel like you're a preacher at a strip bar because you're the only one not eating all the junk, right? And it's
Yeah.
like the people are looking at you weird and like, oh, what's wrong with this guy? This cake is tremendously good, and you're sitting there eating the little sausages on a stick. What the hell's wrong with you, And I remember it's like going at a pizza party. I'm like, I just want wings, So
What was that, David?
It's like I'm abstaining.
yeah, and they're like, oh, you're weird, and it's like, well, guess what? I've got more energy than you, and
Tons
then,
more.
but the worst part is people think that you're better. People think that you think you're better than them. Like, oh, the car police.
Healthier.
I was at an event and the people are like, oh, the car police are here. Oh my gosh, I'm eating cake. Don't hate me. I'm like, oh man. So it's tough. I mean, my wife and I have gone back and forth with this. She's now starting to see, the results.
Hamburger helper guy. You guys are making me hungry right after I spoke this cigarette.
One of the carnivore T-shirts I designed is Carnivore Police, and it says "Exercise authority over your own food."
That's good.
By the way, I have on my channel a link to David's T-shirt store
thanks.
in the description. Yeah, I have all of y'all's socials on here on my channel, at least
Right
in
on.
the description. So
I've got some merch too, but I need to do more carnivore keto merch. I bought this. There's this guy called the Metal Motivator, and he literally has a shirt that says F sugar.
nice.
It's like F apostrophe or something like that, and then sugar, and it's like, and then it says hashtag keto diet.
Your merch store is in the description as well too.
Yeah, it is, but there's nothing carnivore keto about it. It's just a cool metal logo. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, like kind of switch of gears a little bit. Your Amon shirt, and then I've got. You can't see it. It's so faded and old.
Evanescence.
Evanescence, yeah.
I got my Meat Fuels Your Beast shirt on.
Nice. Nice polo shirt, Randy.
Thanks. I didn't wear my ground beef shirt tonight.
So what we talk about challenges? What Carnivore Werewolf? What was your biggest challenges during your weight loss journey?
My biggest challenge, hands down, was bread. That was my biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Can't have the bun, can't have the bread. And it to me, it seemed boring for a while. But then it became a lifestyle. Not a big deal.
I believe, Ken Berry has talked about bread being there's addictive qualities to it because of the gluten. And I totally believe that. I think, sugar was easy because of the cancer connection, but bread, man, it smells so good. But there's very few breads that actually taste good to me. And so when I do find a bread that tastes good, I'm like, oh man, this is too much. I can't do this, and next thing you know, next morning I wake up and my body's like, hey, you have an ache and pain here. Hey, you feel like crap here. Hey, the scale's 3 pounds heavier. Reject. Quit eating the bread.
So. When I was younger,
right?
I was a bread man for about 2 or 3 years. I had a bread truck, honey buns, bread, cakes, you name it. Now, I really did like. There was a company here in South Carolina. They did a batter whipped bread, which it's kind of hard to explain, but to me, it's the best loaf of bread that they ever made. Sunbeam, it was actually Sunbeam bread that made it. Now I think they were around the country, but this particular company made a batter whipped, and I mean, it was the kind that you could eat it; it would stick to your teeth. I mean, it was just really soft. I mean, just a good bread.
Well, the keto bread, I tried that for a minute, and then when I read the ingredients, I was like, man, this is almost worse, And what I found was my skin would break out really bad with the keto friendly bread, and so there's been a lot of these keto doctors that are like, yeah, if it says keto on the package, avoid it. It's kind of like calling lollipops fat free. It's fat free, yeah, but they're still bad for you, right? So
it's all a marketing ploy.
Yeah, it is.
And then there's the egg white cloud bread. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
I wish I wasn't, intolerant to eggs because I would like to try that.
Wait, who's that chick on that Jillian chick that on Biggest
Are you talking
Loser?
about ketogenic woman?
No, her name was Jillian.
Oh,
she was
Jillian Michaels.
Yeah. I remember she did this thing about how horrible the keto diet was for you. And then a year later, she had keto protein shakes right next to the Slim Fast protein keto shakes. And it was like such a hypocrite. It's all a marketing ploy. And that stuff with the seed oils and all that, it's just, man.
I think Dr. Berry did a video with that had Jillian
on
there.
Endorsement from?
Yeah, he kind of ripped her. She took apart everything she said and showed how it wasn't worth anything.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Nicole's done a video on her too.
That's not hard to take apart what she says.
Right. Sorry, there's a fly flying around in the back, and my dog is just going crazy trying to get it.
It's wondering what was going on out there.
You were asking about weaknesses and things like that. The biggest battles I've faced has been sweets. I mean, I'm just I worked for Bluebell Ice Cream for about 3 years too, so that was responsible for probably about 50 pounds of my weight during that course of time, because where I would load at is about an hour and a half from where I live. So on the days we would load, they've got a full freezer, and you've probably seen the commercials possibly that says, we eat what we can and sell the rest. And but they have like a big freezer, so you could get a pint or two of ice cream, and that's what I usually did. And when I rode home, the hour and a half trip home, eat a couple pints of ice cream on the way back. But sweets and ice cream have been kind of my, there was a day in the past 130 something days, I was thinking about peanut M&Ms for some reason, and about just I'm not just going to get the little snack. I'm going to get a bag of them. I mean, and I would eat the whole bag. If I went and got them, I'm going to eat the whole bag. So that's been my downfall over the years, but I'm doing good. I'm not so far so good at this point.
Good. Speaking of sugar. Oh, go ahead.
I had peanut butter cup ice cream.
Oh, way to go.
Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I just gonna say, speaking of sugar, I've been carnivore for a year and 2 months, up until when I had to go to the hospital recently,
Mm.
because I got diagnosed with diverticulitis and treated
Mm.
for it. When you are on first they put you on a liquid diet, all liquid diet. Then they put you on what they call a full liquid diet, which has a lot of sugar in it. Regardless of what they tell you, there's a lot of sugar. So they are filling you with things like vanilla pudding and jello and even broth, but they put sugar in it. And they're like, oh, this is to help restart your system. I was like, but I don't want all this sugar.
It's
So I finally
intentional.
argued with the doctor, and it's like, look, okay, we're going to put you on regular menu now. So there's the menu. Order what you want. We're not going to regulate your food anymore. And that's when I started having my bacon and eggs in the hospital. But yeah, the hospital will pump you full of sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I had to take my son for COVID in the hospital about last year, and left on the table. They didn't give him this, but was like pure. Oh, what was it? Dextrose or fructose? I mean, it was like literally sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hospital probably fructose.
that's why I'm telling you with every fiber of my existence that it's designed to make you sick and be happy that you are. I mean, think about all these marijuana clinics that are coming up, that are popping up. They want you fat and happy and oblivious, and they want to make money off of that. And
Bread and circuses.
bread and circuses, and there you go. So I mean, if you've had a family member die of cancer, just put it in your head that was the root. And when you do that, even if you do the keto quote unquote ice cream, okay, I get, obviously Sean has an issue with ice cream. That is still better than eating the real sugar. So it gives rid of that craving. You're going to feel blah because that xylitol will bloat you. And then you get it out of your system. But there is a trick to, if you take heavy whipping cream, put it in a bowl, make sure it's got a good lid on it, shake it up for as long as you can, for like, I'm talking like minutes, like you're painting something, right? Put it in the freezer. If you put a little bit of like monk fruit sweetener in it, you've got ice cream. You can get the xylitol sweetened chocolate chips to put in there. You can put real peanut butter, not that fake hydrogenated crap, but like true peanut butter. Put it in there, and you're going to have the same effect as ice cream. And I've done that, and it works.
Nice.
Yeah,
So,
peanut butter, you just get the ingredients that just say peanuts and salt.
yep,
Nothing else.
that's
Yeah.
it.
And I've made ice cream where it's just the heavy whipping cream, whip that up, maybe put some melted butter and instant coffee in it, and then if I feel like it, some blueberries, strawberries, and a tiny bit of honey. I've done that before.
Yeah. See, so there are and see, knowing that about yourself, again, you can address that. So you do something for 7 days. Like if I really want to nip something in the bud, I'll do without something for 30 days, just to kind of reset everything. Like if I feel like I'm on social media too much, I'll go 30 days without Facebook or 30 days without Twitter. If I feel my mind, if it's taken too much from me. Right now I'm on a 7-day 1 or 2 ingredient fast. In other words, I'm ultra cleaning everything I'm eating this week, because I've strayed with the processed meats. I've strayed with not pasta or bread, but a burrito every now and then, or an egg roll every now and then. And then Chinese food, I had to go without it for 30 days because I was eating too much of it. It's very addictive to me. It may not be addictive to the person next to you, but it's designed to be addictive. and so that's why when I did the carnivore challenge on the truck on my channel, it was 40 days, and it really opened my eyes to a lot of things. The problem I have is I actually like vegetables, but it's predominantly cauliflower, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts.
What about
anything
asparagus?
else bloats me. No, I'm not. I'll eat asparagus, but no. I mean, those are the only vegetables I have real true cravings for.
No cabbage.
I'll do some green beans
Oh,
and carrots sometimes.
Yeah, a great keto meal is cabbage and hamburger. I'll buy the shredded cabbage at Walmart, and I'll add ground beef to it. Add a bunch of butter and some salt, dude. And
I like bacon. I like bacon with my cabbage, man. Somebody cook up some bacon. Oh my gosh, man.
Okay.
Eat that till I'm sick.
So my mom used to always make cabbage soup. So it's kind of like a family tradition. So for Thanksgiving, I'm planning on getting like 2 big things of corned beef, putting them in the slow cooker, and throwing some rosemary, thyme in there. And then once that broth, from the corned beef gets all good and it's all cooked, then I'm going to put the cabbage in there, and that's going to be my Thanksgiving. I'm excited for it.
Sounds good.
One of my favorite recipes is I'll cook 4 hamburgers, and then I will take a bag of Brussels sprouts. I'll nuke them first, so steamable, and then I'll put them in that grease from the hamburger, and I will burn the crap out of them. And those do really, it's really good. You got all your fat, you've got the salt, and so, but
that's Brussels sprouts, you said.
Yeah, it works with broccoli too, but you got to be careful not to overcook the broccoli. But that's a meal that I cook for the family, and they love it. So yeah, my family just got home, so
I like them. I like Brussels sprouts boiled till they're mushy, and it's salted. Oh man, I love that.
I can't do that.
Well, hey, we're at an hour and a half. Are you you need to hop off here, Snorelord?
I'm good.
Yeah, I probably should. So, but you guys can continue on. I appreciate you bringing me on. It's good to meet you, Randy, and
yes,
what's Dave?
Yeah, nice to meet you guys.
And
thanks.
It's good to meet you guys, and I will subscribe to your channels, and
likewise.
My Snorelord Metalhead Viking Caveman Trucker channel may not interest you unless you're an owner operator, but then my Snorelord OG is where I've kind of tapped into a little bit more of the health stuff, but I haven't been really doing that channel a whole lot. I did do the 40-day carnivore challenge on this channel,
okay,
the big channel, and I've also, you can go back about 4 years ago and look at how I looked, and you can see the progress.
I'm gonna go back and check.
So,
I think I'm actually already subscribed to you, Snorelord.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. So, all right, guys, thanks for bringing me on, Sean. This has been great. We need to do it again. So,
yeah, thanks for coming.
Yep. Have fun, guys. Later.
Out.
All right. Now that we got that asshole out of here. No.
Wow.
No, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, but what's up?
Cool.
But yeah, we're going for a while. Let's start wrapping it up a little bit. David, you had some announcements, especially. Oh, which, by the way, yeah, tell us, because we haven't talked about what happened with your previous company and that whole situation. Let's get into that real quick.
All right.
Mind.
Sure. Well, for the last 5.5 years, I was working for a company called Sunset Logistics out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Abruptly, they closed their doors, shut off the fuel cards, and didn't pay any of us, including the office staff.
Wow.
Luckily, I was able to get a job across the street right away and start driving again to earn money. But the previous week I had worked, over 3,000 miles, I didn't get a paycheck. So that money was already earmarked to catch me up with my apartments for arrears that we were in due to slow weeks, pay periods. Like, you have to pay by the 4th of each month. Otherwise, they assess a $150 late fee. So if I turn a check in on the 5th or 6th, because that's when I get paid, automatically $150 late fee, which accrues.
Oof.
You don't have to pay it right away. So I accrued between that and utilities, because water, sewer, garbage, this landlord pays absolutely none of it. All the tenants pay everything. So that racked up. Altogether, got about $2,400 in arrears, but I was always able to keep my rent paid every month, even if it was a few days late.
Mm-hmm.
So, long and the short, corporate comes in, regional manager, and she decides that the apartment itself, because I live in Oregon, they have a rent increase law that they can only increase rent, I think it's 5% each year.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife and I have been there for 7 years. We pay $1,618 a month right now, and in January it's going up to $1,699. Well, she comes in, and even though I had just paid rent, and they knew what was going on with me losing my job over there when the company closed, that was not my fault. I was not able to give them that arrears check. And so she said, well, he defaulted on his agreement, so let's give him a 30-day with cause eviction notice. Well, they did that. And they gave me until October 31st to pay all that money. Come to find out, after talking to someone that works there, this is a common practice with property management companies. If you are paying X amount of dollars per month, like I said, we're paying $1,618 right now, and it's going to $1,699 in January when we sign a new lease. They take the apartment back if you can't pay the arrears for the late fees and the utilities. If they take the apartment back, what they're going to do is they're going to renovate it, and then they're going to lease it out for $2,000 or more per month, because that's the area that we live in. It's a very desired area.
Okay.
So we got in at a good point. We got in at a good price range, and we were locked in. Well, these companies can make a lot more if they can get the people out of their apartment. Even though that's been our home for 7 years, my wife is very comfortable there. She feels safe there. That's her home. That's our home.
Yeah.
So what I've done is, if you see my name down there, I have my cashapp ID, which is the $ and then carntrucker, CARNTRUCKER. If anyone wants to donate to help keep us in our home. Now, we have had some donations come in already from that, and I am very grateful for that. So that is one
I'm
of the
glad.
things.
Let me just say, man, I'm glad you spelled that out, because from here, when I looked at it, I thought it was scam trucker. I was like, I wonder why he's calling himself the scam trucker. What's he got going on there?
Right?
I have your Cash App information in my description of my video as well. So
I appreciate it, but I don't. It's like I said in my post when I put it on social media. The first thing I said was humbleness and humility. That's what I had to come to. That's like, I don't like asking for money. I've never asked for money, except once when our dog, that was a long time ago, we had some vet bills. He developed a bacterial infection that was killing him. We just didn't have the money, so people came through there. Granted, not as much money was required like this is, but I don't like asking people for money. It's just not who I am. I work hard. I support my family. I'm the only provider for my family. My wife can't work due to serious medical issues. Hasn't been able to work since 2015. So I'm away from her all the time, making the money on the road so that we can keep our home, pay the bills, and I see her once every month, month and a half. Now this time it's a little longer because I had to put the time in here to make the money to pay the rent and the bills, but I was already due home from the other company. So we're talking 2 months out now, out of the year, before I get to see her.
But that company that closed up, they still owe you that money, though.
They do. And according to the owner, who I did talk to, his attorney is working with the bank to try and get us paid our last check and our escrow account.
Right.
Yes. Took $1,000 escrow from every driver at $100 a week until $1,000 was accumulated. Now that's as a company driver. We're not lease operators. We're not owner operators.
Right.
But they required $1,000 escrow.
Wow. You seem like a pretty nice guy, but I'm thinking there might be some other people in there that aren't as nice, that are really ticked off.
Oh yeah, there were.
Yeah, I could
Not
imagine.
everybody returned their truck.
Man, I don't want to be dragging somebody out in the street, taking it out of their hide.
It's just not who I am, though. It's just the way I was raised. It's just how I am. I'm not a violent person.
Yeah.
Yep.
But when I have to ask people for help, that's just part of me just dies, because that's not who I am.
I understand that, but it's like it's like how we are out on the road. As truckers, we have each other's backs. So just
absolutely, brother, absolutely.
So we're gonna have to get the word out for you, help you
Appreciate
out, do what we can.
I even contacted that St. Christopher's Fund for truckers, but that seems to be more geared towards if you have had a serious medical issue where you weren't able to work. But I sent them an email anyway. We'll see if they respond back.
Okay.
Cool.
Do you have any new cool merch that you want to show off real quick?
Well, I'm wearing one of my shirts. Meat fuels your beast. The link, you've provided the link for your followers, and
It's in the description. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to.
or you can go to carnivorewerewolf.com, and all my links are there. But I have some pretty good designs out there. I'm tooting my own horn there.
Cool.
I even have a carnivore athlete shirt with a werewolf on it.
I saw that.
And I'm sure anybody that if you buy a T-shirt, that'll help. That goes towards you. That goes to you, right? So
it goes right to me.
Another way
I get
people can help.
about $4.65 on average for a T-shirt that I sell, because it's through Amazon.
Yeah.
But every little bit, like I tell people, every little bit helps. It all adds up.
Sure.
That's right. Randy, you got anything you want to shout out?
No, man, I just want to say I appreciate you letting me be on. I've enjoyed the conversation with you guys, and I've learned a lot. And man, I look forward to doing it again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll wait for Steve or Snorelord to get back, but what do y'all think of doing this like once a month?
Sure. Just let me know.
Like a carnivore, like a trucker roundtable, just trucker talk.
Yeah, and it'd be great if people would actually ask us questions from the audience.
Yeah. Might take a little while to build up that audience.
Yeah, we
get to that point.
But there's definitely, we all know, because we all see the truck drivers at the truck stops. They're a big field that needs to be in the carnivore. They need to be in here. That's not being judgmental. That's just saying.
No, I've gone on many rants talking about all the overweight people I see out here on the road.
Oh, yeah.
It sucks, and it's what I started my channel for.
Yep, me too. I'm trying to help them.
Yep. All right. Well, let's see. Next week, here on the Bacon Convoy, I have Randy and Kip. I think that's next week, isn't it?
Carnivore Kip.
Yeah, Carnivore Kip. I think that's what I have.
Is it? Okay.
It should be.
Cool.
Come on.
Oh, and I got one last thing to say. When that company closed,
Yeah.
When that company closed, this was the biggest bummer of it all, besides the apartment issue. I had to give up going to Ketopalooza.
Oh, I thought you went. I was going to ask you about that too. I forgot.
No, I had it all set up through the company. I was going to park, Uber. I had a hotel already. But instead I had to work, earn money.
I didn't get to be there for all of it. I was there for the Friday night, and then I saw the two crazy ketos. Did get to meet Dr. Barry that morning on a Saturday morning. I didn't get to meet it's Nicole, right? Former fat girl.
Mm-hmm.
I know they were there, but I didn't get to meet them either, which I'm kind of sad about. But
me too.
It was what little bit I did get to be a part of it. It was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm wanting to make it to KetoCon because that's in Austin and I'm like an hour away.
Mm-hmm. And this next year it's called Hack Your Health by KetoCon.
Okay.
Just so you know, if you hear Hack Your Health, it's the same thing.
That's the one that's in Texas.
Yes.
Okay. When is that? What
KetoCon.
time of year? What time of year?
I want to say, I think it's first part of May this next year. I think.
Okay.
Maybe.
I'm gonna have to double check on that.
Yeah.
Simpson, I believe that's how you pronounce that. Jones, Opu. Looks like I missed most of this. Hi guys, especially you, Randy. Yeah, we're trying to wrap things up. Sorry about that.
They can go back and watch it all though when we finish up there.
Right.
You catch the replay. But yeah, next Sunday, Randy, I have you on my schedule with Kip at 2 p.m. Central.
Or 2 p.m. Okay.
So yeah, there's that, and then on my gaming channel, which was called Meaty Trucker, but now it's called Daddy Butter. I did that to mess with Nicole because anyway, I recorded about 4 hours of video of me and my buddy playing a game called Stranded Deep, which is like it's basically me and him stranded on a desert island, and it's a survival game. We make stone tools. It's really fun. So I'm gonna be, cool. Yeah, it was fun. I'm gonna be uploading those playthroughs on that channel here in a little bit, but it's on my description. So if you're interested, that's where it'll be at. Simpson again. Any gatherings in the upper Midwest, Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota area?
I think semi-retired Bob. He's had a few meetings I think he's outside of Omaha, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's in Nebraska.
So if you're not subscribed to he's got a Facebook channel, and you can follow him as well. I know he's had at least one meetup that I know of, but so that's the only one I know of in that area of the country.
Yeah, I don't know that area. So, but all right, I'm gonna roll out the outro video, and then we'll be off. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Remember to eat bacon and keep trucking.
That's right.
I'm done. I'm fucking done. I am done. Get out!